Hey everyone, good afternoon. It's your pal Charity coming at you live with her crazy hair all the way from Ecuador. Hope everyone is having a great day so far. So today I wanted to chit chat with you a little bit about a topic that whether or not we talk about it very often or care to admit it, affects those of us who work in healthcare staffing quite a bit, and that is employee burnout. So I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine a few days ago, and the conversation has really stuck with me, and I've been giving it a lot of thought, especially since it's something that has affected me personally. So I thought, well, there's not really a lot of information out there about what happens if I'm a recruiter and I feel like maybe I'm burning out. There's not really a lot out there for me to use as a resource for that. So I thought I would share my experience with it and give you some suggestions on how to recognize if burnout is happening to you, and then how you can deal with it or manage it if you do think that you are burning out or in the process of burning out. So first I wanted to define what is burnout. So burnout is basically a state of stress. And this stress can be characterized by physical and emotional exhaustion, detachment, social detachment especially, feelings of ineffectiveness and lack of accomplishment. You may feel symptoms like depression. You might feel fatigued or tired all the time. You might feel anxious. You might feel angry or frustrated easily irritated, those sorts of things. It can even manifest itself physically. You might get headaches a lot. You might get chest pains. It might be difficult for you to breathe. I remember when I was in the process of my burnout from my healthcare staffing job, I woke up at night, in the middle of the night a few times, and felt like my heart was pounding. I had a hard time breathing. And it wasn't until later on I realized that I was basically having some sort of anxiety attack or stress-related symptom of the burnout that I was going through. So it can definitely be a physical thing, in addition to some of the emotional stresses that you might be experiencing. So dealing with it and handling burnout. So the one thing I want to suggest is, if you can, take a break, whether that involves you just taking a day off of work, or if you can take more time off of work. I know paid time off is a valuable resource, so we are reluctant to use it. However, if you do find yourself getting to the point where you're just dreading getting out of bed in the morning to go to work, you might need a break. So do yourself a favor, take a break, gather yourself, collect yourself, and a lot of times when you come back to work, you feel refreshed, you feel like you have a renewed sense of energy. So I would certainly recommend doing that. Treat yourself to a spa day, a massage, something just to distract you entirely from the work for a while. Obviously, if you can do a few days or a week or even 2 weeks or something like that, that's even more advantageous for you. The second thing I want to recommend, especially for recruiters, is to make sure that you are working with the right people. One thing that I felt like I always did well as a recruiter, that I feel like really made me successful, was that I was very particular about the types of travelers that I worked with. I always gave out my cell phone number, but very rarely did I get called outside of business hours. And if I did, it really was truly urgent. And I would go to work and everyone would be talking, or not everyone, but other people would be talking about how, such and such traveler called me and talked to me for hours last night about this and that and the other, and they just needed to complain and they just needed to get stuff off their chest and blah, blah, blah. And, I understand that you do have to sort of have sometimes a diverse desk, and you might be working with different types of people, but in my mind, there's really no reason that we should be working with just any old Joe who's going to suck up our personal time like that. So be very selective, operate from a position of abundance. You don't have to work with every single person who sends you a resume or fills out an application. You really don't. If you operate from a position of abundance and you pick the right people to work with, you're going to find that you have a much better work-life balance, and that will enable you to prevent that burnout from happening as well. So big one for me. Another thing that has worked for me in the past is that I have attended a seminar or a conference off-site that could be about self-improvement or sales or something basically to get you out of work, get you into an environment with other people who are super motivated, who are there to improve themselves. I know like Tony Robbins, and there was a millionaire mind intensive that I went to. Everyone was just really high energy. Everyone was excited to be there. And being around that energy does wonders for you. It does wonders for your esteem. It does wonders for your energy. So that's really effective. Not to mention you pick up on all kinds of great information that you can take back to work with you and apply that to your professional life or your personal life. So maybe consider signing up for a weekend convention or a Friday or Saturday away from town where you go to a conference and you interact with people who are like-minded and get your spirits up, get your energy up, and then you come back and you're excited, you're fired up, you want to do good things at your job. So that can give you sort of the boost that you might need and help prevent the burnout there as well. Next. The next thing is to make sure that you are sharing your feelings and what you're going through with people that you trust. I sincerely hope that every single one of you has a manager that you feel comfortable going to talk about these things that you're going through, but you may not, or you may not feel comfortable approaching that person for whatever reason. So don't keep all of that to yourself. It's a lot for you to have to handle on your own. And, don't believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness, because it's not. The strongest people, the most successful people that you know have had to get help at some point for some issue. So make sure that you are talking to a good friend or another family member or somebody that you feel like you can trust with your feelings, and you can say, look, I just feel like I'm burning out. This is what I'm going through right now. What's been your experience with that? Sometimes you just need somebody to listen to you, and sometimes that helps, but maybe they don't have all the answers, but they can give you the ear that you need to kind of get through a situation. So make sure that you're talking with people that you trust to kind of guide you through that stuff, guide you through that situation. And finally, once you've been doing this job for a while, you have to evaluate every so often, and this is any job, but obviously in recruiting and healthcare staffing, let's be real, it's tough. It's a tough job to go through and have to report to every day, and we all see the ugliness that's out there, especially if you're on Facebook and you're going to some of these Facebook groups and you're just, sometimes you're pounding your head against a wall, like, why am I doing this? So sometimes you just have to evaluate whether what your values are really align with what your job is. And for some people it's yes, and they just have to find new and different ways to do their job or to think about your job. Redefine your purpose. What's your purpose for going there? What's your company's purpose? And how are you a part of that? Sometimes that helps you get through those sticky situations, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's not worth doing something that sucks the joy out of you every single day. So if you get to that point where it's like, you know what, I've tried everything I can, I still cannot bring myself to go to work, then it might be time to reevaluate your life and what you want out of life. And, maybe you have to make some tough decisions as far as what's the next step for you. And maybe it's a matter of switching roles within your company. Is there a training role available? Is there a management position available that you might want to get into? So maybe it's a matter of switching jobs within the same company. If you really like the company that you work for, then scope out your options, talk to your manager or talk to somebody in leadership and find out if that's something that might be able to happen for you in the near future. If it's not an option, just make some decisions, do some thinking, talk to some people. When I decided to make my move and I left the healthcare staffing industry, I didn't make that decision alone. It was my decision to make, but I ran that by several people, several close friends, coworkers, and everyone was really supportive, and it helped me to make the decision that I made, and made it a lot easier for me to make that transition. So just you have to constantly be evaluating what role your job has in your personal values and your goals and your passions, and maybe recruiting is it, maybe it's not. So don't be afraid to be asking yourself those questions and have those conversations with the people that you trust. I think that's it for today. I'd love to hear your feedback. Make sure that you hop hop on our website, and we're getting a YouTube channel that we're working on. So keep an eye out for that. There's lots of good blog information on our website, so make sure you're checking that out. If you have any questions, or if there's anything that I or anybody at Moxie can help you with, please send us a message or comment below, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Have a great day, my friends, and we will talk to you next week. Take it easy.